It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Great show planned for you. Jeff Jarvis is here. Paris Martineau. We'll talk about cable news ratings. They're going down. The great rewiring. Is Jonathan Haidt right? Smartphones are ruining our children. And why did Matt Farley write a song about poop? And how did he make $200,000 by doing so? All of that coming up with a lot more on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig This Week in Google. Episode 762, recorded Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024. People who like sticks. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover the latest news from Google and the Googleverse, the Twitterverse, the Exaverse, the Obverse, and the Universe. It's
Inverse.
Inverse, Obverse. My dad taught me the word Obverse. It was like, there's the reverse, and then there's the Obverse. And he was a professor. That's why I know things like corpora. Hello, Jeff Jarvis, also a professor.
And then there's the metaverse.
The metaverse. We didn't have that when I was a young man. I don't know if we have it yet as an old man, to be honest.
No, we don't. Hello,
Jeff,
Leo.
Hello. We're going to get you out of here. You're going to D.C. again?
I'm speaking at the IAPP, which stands for something having to do with privacy professionals.
Oh. And
I spoke to them like years ago, I think. It is huge now. They have tons and tons of members, so I'm going down there to...
Privacy's big. We were talking yesterday on Security Now about ad blockers. 52% of Americans use ad blockers now. And a lot of that is privacy.
Well, that's why news is dying, you greedy bastards.
You're killing us. You're killing us.
Do you not use ad blockers, Grandpa Jeff? No. Are you out there looking at ads every single day?
I do.
Wow.
And in fact, I watch plain old TV all the time. MSNBC's on.
Well, we know that about you, that you're watching cable news. You're one of the 5 people
because I'm old. It's made for me.
Cable.
It's for me. It's not for you, kid. It's for me.
You get the feeling, just based on the number of pharmaceutical ads on the news networks, that it is aimed at a somewhat older demographic, perhaps. That's
now there's balance of nature. I did a poll on Twitter the other day. I didn't look at the final answers. Who would you not want to be stuck next to on a plane? A balance of nature endorser, a Prevagen endorser, a Shen Yun fan, or the Lumi lady.
See, this is a question that I'm not even able to participate in because I've never conversed with somebody sitting next to me on a plane.
Oh, well, there's that too.
Oh, I thought you were going from the other direction. Like, I have no idea who those people are, but you took it a whole nother angle. That's Paris Martineau of the information fame.
Paris.
Hello, Paris.
I just Googled what obverse is, and I'm enlightened now.
Yeah. See, my dad was a... some might say a pedant, but he's not. It's not a pedant. I'm a pedant. I'll admit it. But he liked to think. He liked to talk. He liked the words. He liked all of that. And it's funny, but we have now 3 generations of book authors in the family.
Oh, wow.
I remember when he was writing his first book. My son remembers when I was writing my first book. And now I'm get to observe him getting his first book.
Can't wait to see Salt Hank's book.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
Can I start with a quick clarification and apology for last week?
Please do.
So we were looking at the Google headquarters and we said, what is that foot washing thing there for? And we were yucking it up and I started all this. It's for Muslim men to wash their feet.
Oh, dear.
Before
prayers.
Very nice person
I'm so sorry.
DM quietly told me, hello. And I want to correct myself. It's this week in me being stupid and culturally.
I apologize. Culturally insensitive.
I apologize also.
It's all of us. And, and I should know better. I've been to many a mosque and watched and observed men coming to the prayer and washing before it. And I should have known that. Yeah, of course, that's what that is.
Yeah.
You don't just wash your feet. You wash your hands, too. You wash your face. There's a whole ritual.
But you don't do them at the same place.
Ah, you're right. They do. They take off their shoes. They sit down. They wash. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because it's a little hard.
I think that's a great ceremony. I think that's very kind of profound. You want to be clean before you face your God. I think that's pretty cool.
Is.
So I apologize
everybody
too.
Should be washing their feet more. So.
Yeah, and I don't think that's why Steve Jobs was using the toilet at Atari. personally. I think that was purely hygiene, which is even maybe worse.
So when I went to work at Chicago Today, now to go to the profane again, Chicago Today, the paper that had no tomorrow, my first day on the job, I go in the men's room. There's one staffer there who is brushing his teeth over the toilet.
Oh, no.
And the other
the
staffer,
toilet?
worse, the other staffer is washing his Richard in the sink.
What? Well, no wonder he didn't want to brush his teeth in the sink. What?
Well,
What a terrible newspaper. I hope you quit immediately.
No. I lasted there a year. The guy who was washing his Richard was the aerospace writer. We still had an aerospace writer. You believe that, right? And he had the worst, people didn't like him very much. He was a nerd. And his desk was just piled high with crap. And one day, a rewrite guy just got fed up and set it on fire.
Holy.
That was life in newspapers.
Wow.
so he was watching his Richard Branson in this case.
That's what he was watching.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Now,
By
to
the way,
news of
Jeff,
the day.
I am now following you on Threads on Mastodon, which is kind of
yay.
cool. Yeah, so Threads has announced, well, they announced it a few months ago, but it's finally, I think, generally turned on. And the reason it's a news story, Threads, which is Meta's version of Twitter, is because they now have a feature that you could turn on. In fact, I'll show you how you turn it on when you go to your settings up here. And this is threads.net. And you go to your account. There's a beta thing they call Fediverse sharing, and you can click it. And the good news is they kind of explain all of it before you turn it on. So you're not seeing that because I have it turned on. And so people can follow me on Threads on Mastodon. So I just, as an experiment, I typed, for instance, at POTUS at threads.net into the search engine. And there he is, the president of the United States of America, Donald Trump. And we can all, no, I'm just kidding, obviously. We can all follow him. And I did the same thing with you, Jeff. Not that, you post pretty much the same thing on Mastodon.
I do often.
Everywhere,
not
right?
all the time.
Yeah. So
I was going to say, that would probably be an issue with Jeff because he posts the same thing across all platforms. You're going to be getting double Jarvis.
Double Jarvis.
Good. Maybe he'll finally listen to me.
I'm double Jarvis.
Maybe.
So now I can follow
I'm
your
not
account.
getting. Oh, there it is. Follow.
That's you,
Oh,
right?
okay, so I just did it. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I follow myself. One way to kind of get a shorthand version of what's out there is just, instead of typing a username, type at threads.net, and you'll get a list of people, most of whom, like President Biden, Mark Zuckerberg, Adam Mosseri, the president of Threads, Alex Heath, Leo Laporte, Jeff Jarvis. These are people I'm already following. And you might find some more if you search through this. Ooh. So it's kind of cool.
So, Paris, what's interesting to me is I do post because I'm just that kind of crazy, wild guy. But I find it fascinating what clicks on one and doesn't on another. So, for example, 2 days ago, I quoted Dave Weiner from his blog saying that he tried to listen to Kara Swisher on a podcast, but he just got fed up with it. And it was an interview. And he said, she has a business model. You tell the media what they want and then you get media attention. I just quoted that. That was a nice little quote. That was it. It was more a comment on media than Kara Swisher. Well, on all the platforms, it was nowhere, but on Threads, I got Kara Swisher fans just coming after me, one after another for 2 days, constantly. Just starting with Walt Mossberg, which is probably what did it. And then Carl Bode, our friend Carl Bode, to the contrary, clicked a really the other Paris, what's his name? Paris Marx piece on Kara, which was really, really critical. And I said, watch out, it's going to be bad here. So then Carl went to Blue Sky to say, really funny thing is Jarvis just put this fairly innocuous thing up and people are saying that Threads is nicer and they're really mean over there, but they're not here. And there's no general rules to be had, but it is interesting to watch how things click differently.
It's very interesting to see the actual bubble ecosystem forming on all these different platforms.
Yes.
And it does intuitively make sense to me that a place like Threads would be full of more swish heads than Blue Sky.
It does actually.
That's the name for them I'm making up
swish
right
heads.
now.
I like it.
It makes sense to me that's.
Can you define swish head for me? Let's get an official definition going.
A Kara Swisher stan, gender neutral.
You could call it a swisher stan, but maybe that would be confusing. So
I think swish head is
yeah.
Swish head.
Swish head. Swish heads, roly poly, swish heads. Actually, in a way, that's good because every site should have a kind of unique gestalt or feeling. It's not good that you get dogpiled if you say something that the people don't like, but I think that Threads has a very different feeling than Blue Sky. Yeah, quaint.
I don't think that we should have. I think that it is nice that we are trending towards social media networks and websites being their own separate spaces with unique communities and norms instead of having everything be mass culture for everyone, because that is not sustainable.
It's also the argument for federation, because now I can follow you on Threads on my Mastodon instance, so I get kind of the best of both worlds. I wish we could do that on Blue Sky, because Blue Sky at this point seems to sort of be the incumbent Twitter replacement, but they have their own
people.
protocol.
I know a lot of people on Threads. I see media people on
Everybody's
Threads.
on Threads, yeah. I just don't, because it's Zuckerberg's place.
I can't get into Threads. Yeah. It's passed
I can't really
for
either.
me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it. That's it. We have the ruling.
I think.
I will allow. if it takes off, I'll be the first one to be like, "Well, I messed up on that one." But I've been falling off Blue Sky even, which has not been good.
Blue Sky has the unfortunate name for its posts, skeets. What do we call threads?
Needles.
Here's a needle that you will not like from Threads, Jeff Jarvis. Kara Swisher, vote for the couple you'd most like to hang with. And it's two of your favorite people, Kara and Scott Galloway.
We saw you from across the bar. We really like your vibe.
Would you like to be our unicorn is what I'm getting from it. Yeah.
Even worse than that is Galloway did a podcast with Jonathan Haidt. That's just my definition of hell.
What is it with it? So, is this new? No, this isn't new.
No.
Rachel Maddow's done a great book about fascism in the U.S. at the turn of the century, in the 1920s, where it was really appalling. I mean, there was absolutely a movement to take over the government and make it a fascistic country, a movement that, thank goodness, never went anywhere. But it kind of reassures me, and I think this is her point, that it's always been pretty nutty out there in the real world. There've always been. But it seems to me maybe the internet has given so many sort of more minor Il Duces a voice. People, maybe, I'm not going to lump in Professor Galloway and Kara Swisher with Jonathan Haidt and all those people, but these all people have, Jordan Peterson. They all have kind of outsized voices now, thanks to these social networks.
Yet they complain about being canceled. They use their huge megaphones to say, "I don't have a megaphone" on their megaphones.
Well, it is ironic that Jonathan Haidt is lobbying against social media, saying it's poisoning our children, and yet is using it quite effectively to raise his presence.
Did you read the Nature review of his book?
I did. In fact, we talked about it on. He responded, by the way, I think on.
Oh yes, he did.
X
on Twitter. Yes,
I don't call it.
For him, it's X. Yes, for us, it's Twitter. For him, it's X.
Yeah. What is his book about?
He believes that the phone. He and Gene Twenge are two people who were in the same boat on this. They believe that the iPhone is the ruin of youth, especially teenage girls.
Haidt's new book. He wrote The Righteous Mind, and I interviewed him when that came out. I really think he's an interesting social psychologist. He's at NYU, right, Jeff? I think he's at NYU.
He's in the business school, though.
Yeah. His new book is called The Anxious Generation: How the Great Rewiring of Childhood is Causing an Epidemic of Mental Illness. And the response from Candace Ogers in Nature says, the evidence is equivocal on whether screen time is to blame for rising levels of teen depression and anxiety. She cites a number of studies, some of them longitudinal, some of them quite long, big studies that show no conclusive correlation. She actually says maybe correlation, not causation, right? In other words, yes, kids are staring at their phones, and yes, there does seem to be a mental illness crisis, but they are
no
not
matter
necessarily
what, there
linked.
are tons of other factors.
Yeah, and
the world has changed in a myriad of ways over the past many decades. There are a million different reasons why we can be experiencing a mental health crisis, and also I think it's worth noting that part of it could be related to the fact that children now have access to health care and diagnoses in a way that they did not before. 50, 75 years ago, kids were not going to be diagnosed with depression or anxiety, even if they absolutely had it.
Jeff and I are both of an age where there was no ADHD. I'm probably ADD, but I wasn't diagnosed as that. I was just, trouble in the classroom. But now we have a name for it, and I think that's good. I don't think that's bad. In fact, Odgers writes, depression
is not as stigmatized.
Odgers writes in Nature, the good news is more young people are talking openly about their symptoms and mental health struggles than ever before. She also says the problem with Haidt's book is focusing on social and electronics kind of distracts us from other things that are real issues. For instance, in the U.S., there are, on average, one school psychologist for every 1,119 students, which is, we're not doing a good job taking care of our young people. And so, it seems a little reductionist to say, well, the problem is it's these things, and now, get rid of these and everything's going to be fine. He does respond. He says, well, Odgers quotes a number of studies. He says, but we have studies that are much more conclusive than the ones she mentions. She only mentions... I've
seen so many more that argue with his... I saw another video, which I can't find right off the bat, that went through his studies one by one and said how many of them were sloppy, how many of them were before the period that he talked about. And just in general, people are saying, well, but clearly it has to be something. Kids are... well, no, we need evidence and research. It's a classic moral panic. In my book, coming out... Thank you very much.
Here we go.
No, God, please, no.
Wait, that's a new one. I hadn't heard that.
That's a new one.
I love it.
Well done.
Somebody's added to the moral
For The
panic.
Office.
I think
That's
Benito
the power
is
of AI.
a master. Yes,
and with the mouth even.
Did you do that?
So Taylor Lorenz.
That was an Anthony.
Is that it? Okay.
Very good. So Taylor Lorenz tweeted about all this. People are like, why are kids depressed? It must be their phones, but never mention the fact that we're living in a late-stage capitalist hellscape during an ongoing deadly pandemic with record wealth inequality, zero social safety net, job security, and as climate change cooks the world. Jessica Valenti noted the fact that there's been 27% increase over the last 2 years of girls who've reported being raped doesn't even warrant a mention, but sure, go with cell phones.
Yeah.
That's the discussion we're in.
Yeah. And you'd be happy Doc Rock was on Sunday. We were talking about this. Pretty much channeled you, Jeff. He said they said the same things about books when they came out.
Yep.
That people would
They
read
said the same
them.
things about crosswords.
Yeah, exactly. So, but so all of that aside, I don't want to get into the game of he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. All that aside, there's certainly, of course, one of the problems is if it seems right, it sounds right, we kind of go, well, it must be right. And it does seem reasonable to say people, you see, you go to a restaurant and everybody's staring at a phone instead of talking to each other. It seems like there is a change in behavior that these phones have
and
brought about.
The same thing was said about novels and books. Yes.
Okay. So you think
back in the day.
So do you think it's harmless? Like there is no cause for
No, I'm
concern?
not saying that at all, but it's individual. There's many factors. They are interrelated. There is much research needed. And the APA, the American Psychological Association, or whatever it is exactly, I quote this in the book too, says that we can't lose sight that for many young people, this is tremendously beneficial, that they feel as if they're not alone. Dana Boyd has written about this a great deal. When she was growing up in Pennsylvania and thought she was a weird kid, the internet gave her the chance to see that she wasn't weird. She's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it depends upon the child. It depends upon the circumstances. It depends upon lots of things. But the other important thing, so in my book, The Web We Weave, I go through the internet's 7 deadly sins. And one of them is that it corrupts youth, and the other one is it's supposedly addictive. And there's really interesting stuff about people who just declared the internet addictive in like the first year when it was still impossible to use and expensive. And camps were started for addiction and all kinds of stuff. But the problem is that it's oftentimes the co-occurring condition. It's the symptom, it's not the disease. That if someone's depressed, they may be coming to this because they're depressed or because they're lonely. That doesn't mean that caused that. In fact, they're looking for an answer to their depression or their loneliness. And you have to deal with the individual case to determine where the chicken is and where the egg is. Paris, you grew up with the internet.
Yep.
My daughter, who's a millennial, she's 32, looks down at your generation. She says, "Yeah, they're really screwed up."
Look at her. Does she look screwed up?
No.
I mean,
in fact, Paris is a paragon of an intellectual, a person who has real world activity. I mean,
rationalist.
Skee ball, for crying out loud. I mean,
listen, could a depressed person be on a recreational skee ball league?
I don't think so.
The case.
No, in fact, I think you're in many ways kind of a model for how somebody in their 20s should be living their life. And you certainly, I mean, you're obviously connected. You write for a digital magazine. You're on a technology podcast, but I don't think it's harmed you in any way. Is that your parents? Was that good upbringing? Did they keep you away from phones when you were young?
No, they didn't. I spent way too much time. Oh, I don't know if it was on phones, but on my computer
Neopets.
and things like
Neopets,
that. I don't think
for
I
sure.
got Neopets. I don't think I got a phone until I was in like high school.
I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my case.
I think also it's like it's very different now. I mean, part of what I assume young people today are responding to if they fall into the pattern of being depressed by prolonged social media use or like internet access is they suddenly have access to all the news about everything going on in the world right now, which is quite overwhelming, if not anxiety and depression inducing. Plus, they have access to all of their peers all the time, a live stream of what people are doing, what they are thinking, what they want people to think they are thinking. Of course, that's going to be overwhelming. But I think that is not something that's going away, and it's not something that can be easily solved.
Did you have a good 8th grade or a bad 8th grade?
I don't really remember. I think
Is that the litmus test, Jeff? The 8th
It's
grade?
when I hear a lot of parents talking. That's kind of when, especially for girls in the lunchroom, when things become different.
That's when mean girls show up.
Yeah, kind of. And boys are screwed up in all different ways. I'm not saying it's just
Yeah, my
girls,
son
but I
was
think that there's
bullied. My son was bullied, though, in 6th grade. I mean, it's hard. Look, growing up is hard, and I'm sure it's harder and harder. And I think Taylor Lawrence isn't far wrong that growing up right now is a lot harder than it was when you and I were growing up, Jeff, or even maybe when you were growing up, Paris. It's not a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But crime is actually down. The economy is actually in good shape. We have all these new and amazing tools to work with. It's a lot of this is media's presentation of the world. Yes, fascism is rising. We got that. We got plenty of. We got the
world is getting warmer.
Warmer. But we don't have World War II yet.
Right.
It's always a mix. It's always it's the hubris of the present tense. That we think our time is worse than other times, that our time is more difficult, that our change is faster, that we have more difficulty. Imagine living when the press arrived. Sorry, Gutenberg moment, drink. That was pretty unsettling.
Yeah.
The Industrial Revolution was pretty damn unsettling.
I have some whiskey. I should probably go find it.
I've just got water this week, you know.
I shouldn't drink whiskey every time he says Gutenberg. I will be on the floor.
I was going to say, if you drink every time Jeff says one of his book titles or Moral Panic, it's going to be a long show.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that height is that book is more polemic than it is factual.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that there is moral panic, but I also don't think we should throw out the notion that maybe there are ill effects from all this. But you're right. I mean,
But we need the research.
Yeah.
rock and roll
And
in
I
my
think
era was going to make everybody screwed up. TV, I remember very well after Neil Postman amusing ourselves to death. TV was, and Newton Minnow, the vast wasteland. When I was a kid, the TV was the culprit, the villain.
Demonized. And video games.
Yeah.
And comic books.
Rock music, video games, comic books, long hair, hippie, barefoot, and LSD. And I guess we've always had that. And I think that's why the Maddow's book is so important, because it really does put it in perspective that it's kind of always been tough.
A critic writing.
It's like a compounding thing of information. Like
we know too much.
More and more access to information. And it's just compounding since Gutenberg,
Yeah, but we've always had too much to absorb. So the problem is the same. And the scale seems like it matters, but it really doesn't, because there's the amount that we can't absorb maybe is greater, but the amount that we do is pretty much the same.
A critic said, I stopped watching news. I get enough news from headlines on my phone and perusing the internet. I don't watch.
You say
TV
watching news.
TV news.
Yeah. When were you watching TV news? Sorry, Jeff. Sorry to talk about your favorite pastime.
All the time, and especially during COVID. When I grew up, we would watch at 6:00. We would watch the Huntley-Brinkley Report. Others watched Walter Cronkite, and that was a nightly.
Sounds like a fake name of a newscast.
I know it does.
And tonight, the Huntley-Brinkley Report.
Good night, Chet.
Presented by Cheerios
from NBC News. But that was in that era. Everybody watched the network news before dinner. But that was it, pretty much. And you had your newspaper, you had your morning paper, and your evening paper. If you watch 24-hour news, part of the problem, and I know this because we tried to do a 24-hour news channel on Tech TV 20 years ago, and it's such a gaping maw of consumption. You need so much material. And the rating war is so vicious that you inevitably, I don't care how good your intentions are when you begin, descend into kind of sensationalism and, breaking. At CNN, every 5 minutes, the news is breaking. But that drives viewership, it drives traffic.
And the repetition, if you keep it on, just the constant repetition of the same thing over and over and over again.
And people believe it. They see the same thing over and over again. We know people believe it after a while. And I think that's the case.
But at some point we have to have, but there's a bit of third person effect in that. At some point we have to have some faith that there are smart people out there and that we're not the only ones who are immune from it.
Well, that's why I read the information.
Yes.
I kind of pay attention to what it's like what you eat. You kind of pay attention to what you eat. You don't eat the junk food. You eat the healthy food. And you can do the same with your news consumption, can't you?
So I want to get this quote in. A critic writing of novels in 1795 said, "My sight is everywhere offended by these foolish yet dangerous books. I have actually seen mothers in miserable garrets crying for the imaginary distress of a heroine while their children were crying for bread." Isn't that great?
Yeah. Yeah, it's always been that way, hasn't it?
Yeah. Novels were especially women, Paris. Novels were the ruin of your kind.
Of course.
Yes.
Did you guys see that first quarter television news ratings came out?
Save yesterday. That. Let's save that. And that's a good little tease.
I did not.
We'll find out. Are people watching
more
tease or less? We'll find out. Paris Martineau, the information. She is, in fact, the poster child, the epitome of the perfect young person. And
everyone's saying this.
And the classic grumpy old man, Jeff Jarvis.
Hey. Jeez.
And now a word from the Huntley-Brinkley Report. Would you like to see? This is literally...
Oh, good, yes.
So you would watch Cronkite as if you were a CBS person. But I think people who were more serious would watch NBC.
We were an NBC family.
Yeah, we were too. Yeah.
That is exactly the font I imagined.
This is the news, reported by Chet Huntley and David Brinkley. The United States today honored Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Millions of people cheered the Apollo 11.
You need to go to the very end.
In parade
I
in
like
New
it.
York
I
and
like
Chicago.
this. Does just the first.
Oh, they don't have the good night?
No,
the good
but
night,
the good night was the best. Good night, Chet. Good night, David. And good
Well,
night.
what about Walter Cronkite? Did you ever see that, Paris?
That's
Walter
the way
Cronkite?
it is.
Yes, of
That's
course.
the way it is.
Yeah. That was the good old days.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I think we've
For
learned.
us white people, it was.
It wasn't a good old days. Yeah, first of all, yeah, it was only good if you were white. But it wasn't the good old or not poor. It was only the good old days because there was a handful, 3 voices. ABC even wasn't that serious, you know.
No.
There were only really 2 voices that mattered, and everything else, you know, you just took that. The New York Times is the paper of record. You've got NBC and CBS News. That's it. And
Well,
I
this
think
was the
that
lie.
It's better to have more voices.
New York had, I think, 17 daily newspapers.
Wow.
And you had a variety of voices and things that spoke to different communities and for communities. And television wiped all that out.
Yeah.
We ended up with monopoly media.
Yeah. Our show today brought to you by our fine sponsor, Collide, Kolide. I know you've heard me talk about Collide, but did you know, this is very good news, Collide was just acquired by 1Password. Why is it good news? Well, both companies lead the industry in creating security solutions that put users first. For over a year, Collide Device Trust has helped companies with Okta ensure that only known and secure devices can access their data. And that's what they're still doing. They're just doing it now as part of 1Password. So if you've got Okta and you've been meaning to check out Collide, now is a great time. Collide comes with a library of pre-built device posture checks, and you can write your own custom checks for just about anything you can think of. Plus, you can use Collide on devices without MDM. That means your Linux fleet or contractor devices. And, oh yeah, every BYOD phone and laptop in your company. Now that Collide is part of 1Password, it's only going to get better. So check it out at collide.com/twig. Learn more. Watch the demo today. KOLIDE, collide.com/twig. We thank him so much for the support of This Week in Google. Paris Martineau, the ratings are in.
The ratings are in, and I don't know. They seem quite sad to me.
Oh, no.
On a total day in the first quarter, Fox News was first with 1.3 million viewers, down 5%, followed by MSNBC with 814,000 and CNN with 467,000.
So that's the big one.
I see TikToks of like pieces of bread that get more views than all of those.
In fact, my son's TikToks.
And that's overall viewers. If you talk about the key demo, which is, I guess, what advertisers care about, 25 to 54, Fox News had 156,000 viewers, followed by CNN with 85,000 and MSNBC with 82,000. Grim.
Is it grim?
I mean,
grim for who?
82,000 people?
Grim for them.
Yeah.
Just grim for them.
Good.
I mean, I don't think it's good that I think that cable news is a dying medium.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that 2 million people are watching Fox. Probably half of those television sets are like in doctors' offices or whatnot. But I don't know. It's just grim that you have an entire industry that is propped up by such abysmal numbers.
Yes, but I also celebrate the death of mass media. And I think that time when we believed that Walter Cronkite spoke for the whole nation was a lie, a myth. It's over. And we haven't figured out what to replace it with yet.
Well, and as somebody said in the Discord, the whole idea of news as a business is probably a bad idea, especially news as a business for corporations.
No.
Really? Come on.
No.
Because they have to make
Because
money.
there's not enough charity. There's not enough charity to support the journalism we need.
So it has to be a business.
Yes, in great measure.
But then
not entirely.
Don't the priorities become profit making as opposed to truth seeking?
They have been since Gutenberg. There, drink.
I got another drink for this.
It's been about making money since the beginning of media.
Okay. Actually, I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's a good argument.
I don't even think it's true. I think that I know that in the few decades before this, the networks ran news operations at a loss for prestige. That they were
also
subsidized.
for FCC purposes.
Yeah, and because the FCC made them. They were using the public airwaves. The FCC said you have to have a certain amount of public service. But also, they made their money on the half-hour sitcoms during the week, and they used that to subsidize news operations. Edward R. Murrow, Walter Cronkite, Huntley, and Brinkley were not profitable. But yeah, they might have had ads, but they were not profitable. So I disagree, Jeff. I think
certain
that's
that the future
of
media should be government sponsored, though. I think that comes
it wasn't government sponsored. It was subsidized, government required. But look, let's face it. These big media companies have plenty of money. They could run news operations, right?
What kind they run? This is where the attention economy is. I'll agree with you. That it's the particulars of trying to get the largest audience possible as the business model is what has led to the corruption of the internet as well as media. But I think we're at the end of that. Paris, related to this, is a story from The Information on line 65.
About YouTube.
Which talks about why YouTube wants to take over TV, because you look at also what's happening to the cord cutting, which people thought was never going to happen. It's happening. And the numbers are stark.
Do you know how much YouTube TV costs a month?
How much?
Something
now?
crazy, if I recall.
$83.
Oh my God! What do you get for that?
It's basic cable.
So we've just reinvented that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
was basic cable ever that expensive?
Yeah, roughly. And the reason it's so expensive, a lot of the reason besides YouTube's desire to make money, is that the local channels that people want with their subscription charge them a lot, and the money goes up. And then people want ESPN, so that costs money. ESPN's very expensive.
I'm pretty sure sports sells all of that.
I think ESPN's something like $14 a subscriber a month.
ESPN is failing, though.
But the NFL, the
ESPN's
NBA,
in bad
and
shape.
MLB aren't.
Right, that's different.
Companies have an endless way of losing money, but nevertheless, that's...
Well, and the local stations wouldn't be so expensive without government intervention and must carry.
Right. Except I think that people want the local stations. No?
I'm not certain. I think that Jeff is right that a lot of the subscription does seem to come from people just wanting access to live sporting events. And
live news. Breaking news.
Who's subscribing for live news?
I always subscribe for live news so that if there's an earthquake or, if there's a big story.
I just put on,
My sister does.
What do you watch? What do you watch, Paris? If something big happens.
I was going to say, I watch C-SPAN if something big happens.
Good. C-SPAN comes with your basic cable. It's not free. It comes with your basic cable. It is, in fact, not free.
I've never watched it on a TV channel. I've always watched it on their website.
Oh, you stream it? Oh, okay. It is free on the stream. Yeah. In fact, one of the stories we have this week is the incredible increase in the cost of YouTube TV Premium. They've increased it by about 50%. It's kind of outrageous.
What is the difference between YouTube TV and YouTube TV Premium?
So if you watch YouTube, not YouTube TV, YouTube. If you watch YouTube, you get a lot of ads, right? A lot of ads. So you subscribe to YouTube. It used to be called Red. I don't know why it says Red here, but it's YouTube Premium. It's now $20 a month, up from $13 a month.
Wow.
Jesus.
That's the Apple price.
Spotify is going to be increasing their subscription fees by the end of the year. I'm forgetting who broke that story today.
And who says inflation isn't happening, right?
Hey.
Well, this isn't just inflation. This is causing inflation because it's opportunistic.
I think this is enshittification.
I mean, this is what the business model of these companies is we get people hooked on our product at a cheap. It's the same thing that was happening with delivery services or, Uber or Lyft.
You want to talk about addiction
when it's easy, and then we raise the price because we've been losing money this whole time.
Yeah,
media invented this model.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Benito says it's enshittification. That's the definition of it. You lock people in and then you squeeze all the profits you can out of them. And no wonder teenagers are depressed.
To say enshittification.
You can, because it's not the S word. It's a longer word.
It's a longer word, so it's actually okay.
In it. Yeah.
Can I say the extended BS word?
No.
But that's a longer word with the S word in it, and it's political speech. Lord knows there's no more political speech than that word.
Can I burn a flag on twit.tv?
You can say anything you want. John is on, he's going out to look at Crater Lake or something. So he's the guy who usually...
So he can't stop us.
He can't stop us. He's the guy who, when we say bad words, yells at us. Across the room, he'll yell at me.
He gets very mad.
He gets
Because
mad.
one mom long ago said... Oh, no, my kids.
No, we don't. We want to have it non-explicit. We don't want to have to put the explicit tag on it. And
hey, I'm really sorry for that one episode I hosted, guys.
We want young people
we went off the rails
to be able to watch, because I think what we're saying is important, even for young people, right? We're talking about important stuff. I mean, after all, we know that young people will, if given the opportunity, ask for songs about poop from their Amazon Echo or their Siri. That's why this guy right here has recorded tens of thousands of songs and put them on Spotify. Matt Farley is his name. You saw the New York Times Sunday Magazine article by Brett Martin. Farley even some years ago made a song about Brett Martin called "You're a Nice Man." Yes. You want to? Can we hear it?
You're a radio guy. You're a writer man.
At the end of this, I'll put song in air quotes.
You're a wonderful person.
At the end of this, it's only 1 minute and 14 seconds long. He actually gives his phone number. Matt Farley does. So Brett Martin, having stumbled upon this, called him, and he said, honestly, Martin says, I said, "This is Brett Martin. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to call." The man had no idea who I was. You have to understand, he said apologetically, I've written over 24,000 songs. I wrote 50 songs yesterday. Matt Farley, who lives in Danvers, Mass. On the North Shore, apparently...
Explain this business model.
Well, if you put this stuff on Spotify, you can make some money. Not a lot. I thought he was going to be loaded, rolling in it. According to the Times, in 2008, Farley's search engine optimization project, because that's what this is really, took in $3,000. In 2012, $24,000. Now it's a little bit more. To date, his band, he has many, but the band, the Toilet Bowl Cleaners, and the song "Poop in My Fingernails," we could play it if you'd like.
Oh,
to hear
no, please do not.
I think we're all
Please
right,
do not.
actually.
Has collectively...
No, stop. I'm channeling John here. No, don't do it. No.
Come on. Every kid in the listening audience has heard this song. Brought in $469,000, but they're not the only big money songs. He has a song by Papa Razzi and the Photogs, which earned $41,000. The best birthday.
How does he earn this though? I'm not sure.
Spotify.
Just by quantity. Yeah.
Spotify. So if you search, or you even ask, as if anybody who has younger kids knows, they love saying, "Hey, play a poop song," to Echo, and it will play one of his songs. Toilet Blow Cleaners are huge in the under 8 set. In fact, he has a lot of songs about going to the bathroom.
And I think this is what's wrong with streaming. You know, that like 8-year-olds can define culture. What?
Well,
Up to Coco Melon.
Barney. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, Barney was terrible. There's the best birthday
song. Were you raised on
ever.
Barney, Paris?
Yeah.
I love you. You love me.
Please, no, Leo, no.
Happy family.
But that's not the same as a poop song. I'm sorry, that's not the same.
It is to me.
Actually,
You're
Barney
saying it's
was
a higher
worse.
quality?
Barney was worse because Barney took well-known songs and added horrible lyrics to them. Not insulting, just...
Oh, and Matt Farley with his poop songs would never do that.
He says people like to criticize the whole streaming thing, but there's really a lot of pros to it. In 2023, last year, $200,000. Farley's earnings help him fund his other creative endeavors. He records what he calls his no jokes music, including a 2-man band he's been in since college called Moe's Haven. which once recorded an album a day for a year. He's apparently big on quantity. He hosts 2 podcasts. Ah, there you go. That's where the real money is. One about his work, the other about recapping Celtics games. And he makes micro-budget movies. Starring
2 a year.
2 a year.
This guy was the creative kid in 3rd grade.
I think it's fantastic, and I'm glad he's making a couple $100,000 a year.
He works hard for it. I'll give him that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like he's sitting on his keister. He says, I could fill a 5,000-seat arena if I could only get everybody in one place.
His theory is that every idea, no matter its apparent value, must be honored and completed. An idea thwarted is an insult to the muse and is punished accordingly.
God, spare me. I liked him till that.
He says if you reject your own ideas, then the part of the brain that comes up with ideas is going to stop. You just do it and do it and do it, and you'll sort it out later. Which I think is kind of an interesting philosophy.
I mean, writing, often writers say, don't think about what you're writing, just write, and you can edit it later. Your mistake is pausing and editing and all of that. Here he is composing a song on his street out in front of his house with a very long extension cord. Now, I think that's staging the news. Did the New York Times photographer tell him, hey, I got an idea. Let's go out in the street with your Rolex?
He just happened to see him in the street when they drove up.
See,
it was just perfect.
When I worked for NBC, we were told again and again,
oh, never do this.
You cannot get people to do something for the camera. You can only record what they would be doing otherwise. Right?
Oh, so do you really think the New York Times definitely doesn't do that? Because otherwise, there is a epidemic of people standing dramatically in fields across America, because that is every photo you see in a New York Times.
Well, when I worked for people,
is that staging?
When I worked for people,
yeah.
When I worked for people, it just so happens that all these famous stars were all in their kitchen making pasta.
Oh, God.
It just happened.
All of them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud to say, and maybe I was the only guy who actually believed the NBC guidelines, but I was very careful not to, you go in to do a story about some guy who's written some program. You don't say, hey, could you sit down at the computer and pretend to type? You don't do that.
Oh, God. But, Leo, the B-roll, I mean, I've done so much B-roll.
Yeah. There's a lot of
where you do just that. You type something meaningless. You walk into an office. Oh, yeah. B-roll is a lie. Noddies are a lie. But TV lies.
Let's play another Matt Farley song.
No.
This is called Shut Up Your Monkey.
Get down,
Benito, the cultural problem here is the New York Times writes about this. I don't know if you also saw the New York Times did a story today about people who are like sticks. They have run out of everything to write about. They have run out.
Wait a minute.
You got a giant newsroom? You gotta fill the online page. Yes, Leo. It's about people who like sticks.
Wow. I guess they have a giant newsroom. They have to. People who like sticks.
Sticks and the people who love them. The New York Times.
That's almost like a parody.
Well, it should be.
And the Times is on it.
Exactly.
Sticks and the people who love them.
And they're being played. They're playing everybody's playing everybody.
By the way, definitely staged. Definitely staged.
Yeah.
No, these people were just tossing their sticks
with joy.
Out and about.
I love sticks, and I have, in fact, as I'm hiking.
Wait, you got to scroll down. There's a better photo.
Oh,
yes, there is.
Louise.
That one.
Yeah.
Black and white, wearing sunglasses, posing as if they're in a rap video or something.
Boy, we got the Times.
What is the reason for
all
this
the news
article?
that's fit to print?
Oh, because it's on Instagram. This is why. They have Instagram.
So it makes it a trend story.
Yeah, it's a trend story. Mm-hmm. Official stick reviews on Instagram. Well, hey, we verified there are people who love sticks. And they have an Instagram account. I think maybe Jonathan Haidt was right. Mm-hmm. By the way, he hates it when you call him Jonathan Haidt. I just think you should know that, Jeff. Just for your own.
I did mess up for a while, but I now know what to call him Haidt.
Hey, they're looking at you.
I didn't
Jeff.
know. I just kind of presumed.
They're looking at you. They want to know. Mm-hmm. You want? Can we buy you a drink? Come on. Come on over. Have a seat. Sit down with us.
I saw you across the bar.
Yeah.
We really like your vibe.
We like your vibe.
Paris now turned her microphone down too low.
Come on over. That really is exactly what they look like. You nailed it, Paris. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
We like your vibe, man. Wow. February's stick winner, curved at one end, resembled... Okay, never mind. I'll stop.
Is that Peyronie's disease? No, sorry. The other commercial.
You have been watching CNN.
Okay, I get ads for that all the time. That is the number one ad I see on Reddit.com, and I don't know why.
They think you're a middle-aged man who has a bent penis.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I just hang out with them.
Yeah, we're not middle-aged, honey. I got bad news for you. We're a little bit older.
He's old enough to call you honey.
Yeah. Yeah, Stacy used to hate that when I would do that. She just would hate that. But it's more like a waitress calls you honey. It's more like that.
Yeah, you're mocking yourself when you're doing it.
Self-mockery. Yes. Mm-hmm. Should we visit some of Joe's stickers, by the way?
Oh.
With Barney and Kara. This is a man experiencing podcast hell in real time.
In real time.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Joe's good.
That's a good one, Joe. That's a good one.
He is our resident illustrator in Club Twit. If you are not yet in Club Twit and you want to see more of that, hear more of our shows.
And who wouldn't want to see more of that?
Get more of our insightful analysis. There's one way to ensure that, and that's to join the club. Go to twit.tv/clubtwit. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get special stuff we don't put out in public. Although I'm very proud of our club leader, Lisa, who decided that all of our shows should be available to the public, at least in audio. So we have now made all of the shows that used to be inside the club only, like the Untitled Linux Show, Hands on Mac, Hands on Windows, Scott Wilkinson's Home Theater Geeks. We now all have feeds, and you can listen to them for free. They're ad-supported, and we really appreciate Lisa doing that. If you want the video, though, we have to give you a little incentive to join the club. You can join the club, and then you get the video as well of all of those shows. There are some special events we do that are only in the club. Stacy's Book Club is coming up next month. We're going to do the Bobaverse, the first volume. We also are going to do, we just thought this one up yesterday. Anthony Nielsen said we should do a movie watch party. But we need a movie that is public domain. So we have to go back to 1927 and Fritz Lang's Metropolis, which is
that's going to be
it's going to be fun. So we're going to play it and comment on it, and we're going to have popcorn and sit around and stuff. And if you're in the club, you can join us for that virtually in the Discord. We also have open studios this Sunday and the 21st. And I think they're sold out, but if they're not, you can check it out at the Discord. So lots of benefits, but the real benefit is knowing that you're keeping if you like what we're doing, you want to keep it going. It really is going to be the only way forward. And I'm sad. I don't want to do it that way. But in some ways it's kind of a blessing because it means that we're doing something people like enough to support it. It's a couple of cups of coffee a month, $7 a month. Visit twit.tv/clubtwit. If you're not yet a member, I would love for you to join. Oh, we already have the watch party info up. It's going to be May 9th, and you can respond. This is a classic sci-fi movie. Really, in some ways, established the whole genre. It came out in 1927, and we will be sitting around in our living room talking about it, which will be a lot of fun. A lot of the Twit team will be there, and it's going to be fun. I think we're going to enjoy it. Google has, we talked about this yesterday on Security Now. You remember they got sued over Incognito mode. Now they have pledged to destroy everything they learned. All the browsing data. It's quite a significant amount. There was a class action lawsuit filed in 2020.
All browsing period or just browsing under Incognito?
Just anything under Incognito.
Yeah.
Because Google implied that it was somehow private, but of course they were continuing to track you. Google settled, offered a lot of money, and they have agreed to destroy billions of data points. The lawsuit alleges it improperly collected under Incognito mode. It's also going to update disclosures about what you what is collected and what isn't in private browsing, and give you the option to disable third-party cookies in that setting. David Boies, the famous David Boies, who represents the consumers in the lawsuit, said the settlement requires Google to delete and remediate in unprecedented scope and scale the data it collected improperly. Google's spokesman says, we're happy to delete it. It was never associated with an individual or used in any form of personalization, so we're glad. We're glad to get rid of it. It's gone. Fine, no problem.
It was costing money in the closet.
That's right.
Now we can put coats in there.
Yeah.
It's already been sold.
Oh, that's right. All the fun's gone out of it anyway. Did you know that April 1st, besides being the journalist's most hated day of the year, because you never know what
I hate it. I really hate that day.
Isn't it awful?
I despise it.
It's better, though, isn't it, than it has been?
Yeah, it actually has been. I think the pandemic kind of kicked everybody in the groin.
Remember, we used to, every April 1st, we'd have like 5 or 6 jokes from Google alone.
Google alone, yeah.
Like the toilet internet service provider that was somehow getting your data through the sewage pipes. That wasn't that funny, was it? Well, April 1st, 2004, Google did put out a press release that was not an April Fool's joke. They launched Gmail. Oh, wait a minute. We already talked about that, didn't we? Did we talk about it? I can't remember. No,
we did none of the show. I don't understand
show.
how you ever keep track of what you talk about on which show. I can't do that. You're amazing that way. But no, we did not.
Well, thank you for helping me. It was, this is a story from a couple of days ago. The inspiration for Gmail came from a Google user complaining about the poor quality of existing email services, recalled Larry Page. I'm reading from the Google press release from 2004. She kvetched about spending all her time filing messages or trying to find them, Page said. This is back when he had a voice. And when she's not doing that, she has to delete email like crazy to stay under the obligatory 4 megabyte limit. So she asked, can't you people fix this? And Larry said, heck yeah. Literally, that's in the subtitle of the heading. Heck yeah, say Google founders. Gmail solves all my communications needs. It's fast and easy and has all the storage I need. It was a lot of storage. It was a gigabyte. We talked about it on Sunday because it was also, I think, for most of us, the first time we ever saw a web app. That, prior to 2004, websites were static. Maybe they had a little animation, but you couldn't really interact with them. But this used something called jQuery, which was all the rage at the time. And actually, the page would be refreshed. You were in an app that was in a web page. And you could search inside the web page without leaving it. You could compose emails, send them without leaving the page. It was a big deal. In fact, such a big deal that the first invitations, it was invite only for a long time. It was beta for a decade. But it was invite only for a long time. Those first invitations were pricey. You could buy them on eBay. I wonder if they're.
I forgot about that entirely. People were dying. It wasn't it the original kind of special
beta invite thing
that metered.
Yeah, I think. What do you mean? I'm sorry.
What else did that metered thing where you had to have an invite to give invites?
Later, everybody did.
What was the first? Was it Facebook was first or
Facebook didn't need an invite. You had to be in a group. First, it was a Harvard student. Then it was an Ivy League student.
Of course, yes.
But you didn't need an invite. It might be Gmail was the first with invites. Chat room, Discord. Anybody think of something before 2004 that was invite only? Benito?
I can't think of anything.
I think it might have been the first one. It was a huge hit, right?
Oh, yeah. People wanted in. I wanted in. Yeah. But it also changed the way I thought, because it was mailbox 0. That went away.
Let's save it all.
And the idea that just search, it was changing that Google mindset of it's all there, just search it.
Right.
Which for a lot of years worked. Now, mail search is worse than web search for me.
I totally can't even use it.
Yeah, it just finds the word rather than doing any concept work on it.
Do you see? That's funny because I think of it as a database of everything I've agreed to, all the people's names, addresses. I search it all the time. I don't use Gmail anymore.
But do you get good search results? I guess if you're not using Gmail, maybe that's the issue I'm having.
So
I feel like if I don't search something, if I don't know the exact words that I need to be searching, and if I don't search them in quotation marks, it is completely useless to search.
Yeah. It doesn't do conceptual. It only does.
Isn't that ironic? I think what we learned since 2004 is Google is not a search company. They're an ad company. And they just use search to entice you. It did change how we think about email, and it changed how we thought about websites, that they could actually be apps. You don't remember a time when there wasn't a Gmail, do you, Paris?
Kid.
No, I remember. I remember having a
Hotmail.
What did I have?
Yahoo?
Yeah, I had a Hotmail account back in the day.
Wait a minute. No, let's be honest here. This came out when you were 6 years old. It's not that there weren't.
I think I just. Yeah, when did Gmail
You've
come
never
out?
known a time that
20
didn't
years
have
ago.
Gmail.
Yeah, I guess it came out when I was 7 and I got my Hotmail account when I was
5 years
older
old
than
and
that.
I don't have Gmail, but I do have Hotmail. You can email. You know, the best idea I ever heard of, and I wish I'd done it, but my kids now, you know, they were like teenagers when Gmail came out. But I wish somebody said, you know what you should do when a baby is born, create a Gmail account for that baby and start sending them email. And then when that kid hits 21, you say, here's the keys. All this time I've been holding your Gmail account for you. And there might be some mail in there. And it's like email from your parents.
Along with 500,000 pieces of spam.
Yeah, and
they gonna
the
find
search is busted, so you can't find
Yeah,
anything.
you can't find it.
Oh, I didn't think of
Search for
And
Leo.
also,
Wow,
we ran
Leo
out
the
of free
lion, Leo
storage,
everything.
so
Yeah.
all the interesting messages from your parents
I
are
didn't
gone.
think of that. Oh, you're right. Oh, never mind. It seemed like.
Do you each have an old Gmail account you don't use anymore that once
Yes.
in a rare while a password shows up and you have to go there?
Yes.
It's hilarious.
I have a prime Gmail account, I have a secondary Gmail account, and I have like a tertiary Gmail account that I made for like a work project a long time ago that I use for things I truly know will give me busted amounts of spam. And I honestly use all three of them fairly regularly. Not to send emails, but
I
to
have the
receive.
same email I signed up for 20 years ago, laporte@gmail.com.
Was Leo at Gmail taken?
I didn't try for it. I don't know why I said Laporte. It was a big mistake because I get a lot of French spam, like mostly.
It does.
Mostly French spam. But yeah, you're right. Every once in a while, I'll have to go there to re-up my password or something like that. All right, let's move on. We've talked about Gmail enough. Here is for some reason, I'm gonna go with this, Poco. You've piqued my interest. Oh, you're saying I got this idea from an ad for Gmail. I did. You're right.
Oh, that's right. It inserted itself into your
Dear
head.
Sophie Lee at gmail.com. You arrived. There's her birthday picture. I'm still getting the hang of it. Can you imagine, though, Sophie Lee getting this when she's 21? Her
That would
first
be cool.
birthday.
That would be cute.
Giggles. I have all this stuff saved. Yeah, I wish I'd done this for my kids, but you have a good point. There's also a lot of Viagra ads in there as well.
Peyronie's disease.
Yeah.
Just what you want your kid to see.
Yeah.
Dad, why are you getting all these?
Her first cigarette. That's cool. We moved to Oak Street. Oh, nice house. Oh, isn't this sweet?
It's very sweet.
Because parents, for years, I bet your parents did this. Paris we saved the kindergarten and finger painting things and the little Henry made a little clay thing with my name on it that I think was supposed to go on my door. And when I didn't put it on my door, I don't know if it's like a mail drop or something. He said, "Why didn't you put that on your door?" So I had to put it on my door. This malformed clay thing. I think I still have it, actually.
Someone in the chat pointed out a really good thing that also popped through my head watching that video is they have a Picasso. They have Picasso.
Yes, we all jammed on that same thing. It was visceral.
Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? I got a text message from Henry actually a couple of days ago, actually from T-Mobile, saying you just reset your SIM. Is that all right? And I said, oh, God, I hope Henry didn't get SIM checked. So I texted him, and he said, no, I was kayaking on the bay, and the phone fell out of my pocket. So I had to get a new phone.
I thought you were going to say he's finally decided to pay for his own phone.
No. Don't go crazy here.
Harris disapproves.
Don't go crazy here.
Come on, you're an author now, Hank. You can do this.
Yeah, you know what? When that first royalty check comes in, maybe he can buy his own. Gosh darn. I did ask him, I did say, how much did that new phone cost? He got a new iPhone 15. He said, I need an iPhone 15 anyway. I said, how much did it cost? He said, oh, it wasn't much because I had Apple Care. So it was only $500. I said, oh, okay. The only reason I'm thinking about this is because AT&T has reset millions of customer account passcodes. Remember when we were telling everybody, set a PIN on your phone account so that if you get SIM jacked, they won't be able to do it because they won't know your super secret PIN. Well, apparently they do. AT&T, which for years has been denying that there was a breach, apparently from 2019, revealing the information about 7.6 million.
It was that long ago?
Yes.
Jesus.
7.6 million current account holders. This is AT&T this week. And 65 million former account holders, revealing name, address, social security number, birth date, and yes, those PINs, which it turns out weren't properly secured and could easily be cracked. They've been available on the darknet, 73 million AT&T records for some time now. AT&T for the longest time said, no, we haven't been breached. But Troy Hunt of Have I Been Pwned is verified. He said, I actually got the data. I got all 73 million records and called some people and said, is this information accurate? And they said, yeah, how do you know my birthday and social? Well, he called people at random or called friends? No, well, I don't know. He had the database.
That's freaky.
He said, hey, this is a guy named Troy. He's great. I love Troy. He's Australian. He's very handsome. He'd make an excellent husband. But
Dad,
I'm sorry, I'm just teasing. For me, because he's a good-looking guy, but he also runs the Have I Been Pwned.
All right, now we got to see. All
right, yeah. Also,
okay. You think it's not?
How old is Troy?
Oh well, that's a good question. That's a very good question.
Troy is 49,
but he's a good-looking. Good-looking 49. Hey, you're hanging out with middle-aged guys, you say, right? Why not one more? He's not as good-looking as he used to be. He used to be really good-looking. Anyway, here's a picture from the early days. See how good-looking he is. There he is. Look at that. And he's Australian, so he's got a cute accent. Does that help?
Well, I mean, his wife is cute too. So
shoot, never mind.
The bar. That's
Charlotte Hunt, my wife. Yeah, never mind. Forget
his wife and chief of all operational things.
Oh, never mind.
Business partner,
never mind.
Yeah.
Forget I mentioned it. I'm sorry, Troy. I'll just have to love you from afar. Anyway, Troy verified that really this is AT&T information, and AT&T kind of basically gave in because they have reset those 4-digit passcodes for many, many, many millions of customers, all 7.6 million existing customers who were in that data breach. In fact, AT&T says it's going to contact all of you. Too. If you have AT&T, definitely change your passcode. I think probably if you log in, it will say, hey, guess what?
I changed my password.
Oh, and change your password too. Sure. All of that's been leaked.
And went to two-factor, which I wasn't on there, so now
Did we weren't on two-factor?
I hardly ever sign on to there, so I just don't think of it. And this time it challenged me. He said, you should do it. Oh, yeah, I guess I should, yeah.
Declare, who is, I declare, in our Discord, said, yeah, I was notified by AT&T. I was one of the victims. Their email hit my account while for 5 days our internet provided by AT&T was out. By the way, when I logged in to change that PIN, I wasn't asked for my old PIN, And I didn't need whatever AT&T said they replaced the old code with. So their OPSEC's still terrible. Shocking.
Yeah.
His wife is pretty cute. I'm sorry.
Their teeth. The two of them, their teeth.
They both look AI generated.
They look like healthy Australians. Australians all look AI generated. I don't know what it is about them.
That's true.
They're all healthy and
the
tan.
A in AI stands for Australian.
That's it. Australian intelligence. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You've cracked the code. So we talked about Artifact going out of, but I thought, Paris, you liked Artifact, right?
No, I haven't used Artifact, but I've heard good things about it. It went out of business and then came back, right?
Briefly.
Well,
kind of.
So, yeah, I think we talked about this last week. So they announced, we're going out of business, and they shut down. And then Kevin Systrom, the man who wrote Instagram and made $1 billion from Facebook and then went to Facebook and then did Instagram on Facebook for a long time, then finally quit because he couldn't take it anymore. This was his second act. He said, we're going to come back. We figured out a way to come back. And at that point, I said, I'm not going to buy into this because I put a lot of effort into Artifact. I love Artifact. I'm not buying into this till I find out what you mean, because they'd fired everybody. Well, it turns out what he meant is Yahoo has bought us. And by the way, isn't that great? That's like, wow, what a dream come true. I'm now part of Yahoo. And immediately shut down the server. So it's completely dead.
Gone.
It's gone.
And
they bought it and killed it.
They're not maintaining the service. They're using the technology for Yahoo News. So it's dead. It's gone.
Mike Krieger and Kevin Systrom, the co-founders, will be, quote, special advisors for Yahoo, but won't be joining the company. Artifact's remaining 5 employees have either taken other jobs or are planning to take some time off.
I mean, Google kills the things it starts. Yahoo killed the things that everybody else started through the years.
Yeah. Artifact was only a year old. It was really good, and it was news, and it was social. It kind of, it followed in the lines of Nuzzle, which is another thing I love. Jonathan Abrams' news app that was based on who you follow on Twitter. So it was in effect a newspaper based on all the links coming at you from Twitter. It was a brilliant idea. Twitter bought it. Kind of really didn't do much with it. And it reminded me of that.
Well, Twitter was the basis of Blue and then Musk ruined it, as he does all things he touches.
Yeah.
The original Blue.
Yeah. Anyway, Artifact is really gone now. It's part of the purpleness of the Yahoo grotto.
It's where apps go to die.
Actually, so Axios, I was reading about this, and Axios said that it's the new and improved and on its way up Yahoo.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
is this another one
Paris
of those
is going back to
Axios exclusive?
It is actually. So
that was a little competitive jab there from Paris.
Wow.
I wouldn't say it's competitive because I don't believe that the information competes on getting spoon-fed exclusives.
Meow.
Meow. Cat fight.
They talked about Yahoo's 10% Verizon and 90% Apollo Global, which is a private equity firm. And apparently, they've been buying up a lot of stuff. They acquired Factual and other news. They've been buying a number of interesting things. So maybe...
Where's Yahoo getting this money from?
Well, Apollo has money. What did they buy? They bought a brand.
Why would they throw it after this?
Well, this was always the question. We have been talking about Yahoo this whole time on this show. Back when Marissa Mayer came over to rescue it from Google and all of that stuff. And it's just suffered. It's never really taken off. But even with all of that, it still drives a lot of traffic.
Yeah, like AOL still.
Yeah.
Yahoo is still the primary search engine in Japan.
What?
Well, that's
Really?
different.
Yep.
That's different. You're right, Benito, but Yahoo has been always a different corporate beast and brand.
Oh, Yahoo Japan is not
In
owned
what
by
way?
Apollo Global. That is a different company. Yes, that's right.
Different company.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't realize that Yahoo was big and different in Japan.
We're big in Japan. That's what I've always said.
Yeah, it was a deal back in the early days. It was like WordPress, I think it was. No, Blogger did one licensing deal to Brazil. Yahoo did this deal where they got money from, I think, SoftBank in Japan.
That's
and it
right.
became a separate company there.
That's right.
It was an early way to get big bucks.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, I kind of have a soft spot in my heart for Yahoo.
I used to use their links on their front page to find stuff on the internet.
So do we all, right before that was before Gmail though, of course.
That's before Google.
Here's Yahoo Japan, which looks a lot like every other Yahoo, actually.
Yeah. The amazing thing about Yahoo was the quaint belief that they could hire librarians to catalog every possible interesting site on the World Wide Web.
Well, back in the day, there weren't many sites.
They actually did it for a little while.
Yeah, they did it.
Oh, they did. They did. I mean, I'm proud that I had sites that were the cool site of the day. That was a big deal.
Did you have a cool site of the day?
Yeah, I had a couple. I think
that was
NJ.com.
I think so, Paris. You say that with
No, I said that with complete sincerity because what would be cooler than a New Jersey website?
Well, I know definitely Rain or Shine, which was my 5-day forecast only site. That was the first thing we created. I think that was a cool site of the day. And also the yuckiest site on the internet, which was done in collaboration with the Liberty Science Center. And we wrote about things like snot.
How yucky.
Well, that's the idea. We succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Coolsiteoftheday.com, an early website created in August 1994. Yes,
I would love
10
to
years before Gmail.
Archives.
I'm sure it's on archive.org. Originally maintained by Glenn Davis, linking to one single recommended site off its homepage every day. It soon became an arbiter of taste on the internet. This is according to Wikipedia. Within a few months of its launch, Cool Site of the Day attracted around 10,000 visitors every day.
Woo!
Oh my God.
That was a
Hot
lot.
dog.
Joe, you're so mean. He's so mean. Why, yes, I am Mr. NewJersey.com.
Joe, what have I done to you, Joe? What have I done?
That's a good-looking guy right there.
Leo's going to start dating him.
Yeah.
The site's founder became a celebrity, giving interviews to magazines and radio networks like NPR while fending off gifts from site maintainers who sought his recommendations for their sites.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And one of them was NJ.com. But you never gave him
I
any
think
gifts.
so.
Let me see. I bet archive.org.
Well, no, the sad thing is if you go to coolsiteoftheday.com,
Yeah?
go. It'll just be sad.
Well, I'm actually doing something else right now. I'm trying to find archive.org. Yeah, they have 4,338 pages from the original, not the sad current one.
It'll take a while to load, I'm guessing.
Good Lord.
Nobody ever goes there.
Yeah.
I was about to say,
Got to pull it out of the
Wayback
cache.
Machine always.
How could I
takes a while.
figure out
How far
if
back?
one is for NJ.com? I would love to
I don't
find
think
that.
you can. Oh, wait, I guess you could. I guess you'd
Yeah, you
search
could see
on
here.
URLs.
Yeah, it's in alphabetical order, believe it or not. So let me go.
You could type in.
I don't know whether NJ.com was. I think the yuckiest site of the internet was, but you got to go all the way to one.
Oh, yuckiest site? Well, I'll go to the last page. That's
You could probably type in then yuckiest site or whatever the URL.
I bet that might be in the index anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. At some point, it became a WordPress blog.
Huh.
So you were a creator of the yuckiest site of the day, but yet you squirm when listening to the poop fingernail song.
Yes, we did not do poop.
You contain the yuckiest site of the day had a hard line on poop.
Yes, because I set the standards, Paris. That's what being a boss gives you.
How did
Gets you to say snot is golden, but poop is
How do you
no
spell
go.
yuckiest? Yuckiest was spelled how?
YUCKIEST.
Okay, let's see.
We sold it to Discovery.
You
What?
sold it to Discovery? For how much?
I thought it was not a bad deal. It's still.
God, what an era in media.
There's also
Discovery
Mirsky's,
buys yuckiest
Mirsky's
site.
Worst of the Web. Remember that? There were a lot of these. This was in 95. It was a response to the cool site of the day. Three days a week, Mirsky would select 3 new sites, providing links and one-sentence comments that were acidic, addictive, and insanely funny.
Let me find something on this topic.
Mirsky. He thought, according to several interviews, Mirsky expected the worst site of the week to lead to money-making opportunities and grew frustrated with maintaining it when it never did. Well, you should have hung in there longer.
Sorry, Mursk.
Weekend website.
There was also the award-winning site Web Pages That Suck.
Ah, yes.
Which I have the book of from 1995.
Oh, I love that book. Yes. Here is the yuckiest site on the internet with fun.
Oh, there it is. Yes.
Belches and gas.
Belches
bad
and
breath,
gas.
Snot and boogers.
Snot
dandruff.
and boogers.
Oh, my God.
Okay, poop is there, Jeff. You lie.
I'm firing
it's right
somebody.
There. It's under pee and above ankle sprain.
Between ankle sprains and pee, there's poop.
Sticky pits. It's the Lumi commercial.
So this was for kids, right? This was like
yes.
In fact,
I
this
love
is
Roach World and Worm World.
Yeah, that was that
That's
great.
kids
And we
like
asked
yucky
Wendell.
stuff.
Wendell was Wendell the worm.
Oh, wow. So what was the plan here with this?
It was we started a few things early on just to learn how to do the web. So the first website I started in '95 was rainorshine.com. And then we decided we were going to do deals with people. So the Liberty Science Center is there in New Jersey, and the publisher said, the boss, Steve Newhouse, said, go figure out something with them. So I went and brainstormed, and we said, kids love yucky stuff. I saw they had a exhibit about that. So let's do the yuckiest site on the internet.
Wow, you were a pioneer. I didn't realize you were such a web pioneer. That's pretty cool.
I was indeed. I learned HTML, sir.
How did we not?
Any other fun websites that you made? Come to mind?
No. What did I start?
No, nothing fun. We got
I had a bunch of newspaper
NJ.com,
sites. A bunch of newspaper sites. I've got one. Oh yeah, this will. So NOLA, the NOLA cam.
Oh yeah.
We owned the
NOLA.com, which was
Times-Picayune
the New Orleans newspaper. What was it called?
Right.
It
was Times-Picayune. And so we put on outside a bar called the Cat's Meow. It's not what you think. And we put a cam there, and people realized the cam was there, and it was New Orleans, and they were drunk. So they would come on the cam, and they would
flash.
call and say, watch me, and they would flash.
Yeah, I was going to say, that has to be where that's going.
that got traffic, and people were doing screenshots and saving the screenshots from the cam. Yeah.
Jeff, you were
very proud.
You were brilliant, a pioneer. Someday somebody will write about you, the Gutenberg of the internet, and people will be drinking to your name for years to come.
I invented. I took the AP wire, and we did something called Newsflash, and it refreshed all the stories on the AP wire every 30 seconds, and so you just left that on your screen, and we counted that as page views.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Every 30 seconds, a new page.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You are watching This Week in Google or This Week in Jeff's Stories. You take your pick. It's all right. I do the same thing. That's what happens when you get old. All you've got left is your stories. With Paris Martin.
When Paris is 70, she said, I was on this thing they called a podcast with these two old farts. You won't believe it.
Back when we had to talk into microphones instead of just broadcasting our thoughts through the hive mind. It was really something.
You had to have a machine that you talked into. Do you think there'll be podcasts 50 years from now? I guess so.
Will there be egos?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I think we're all going to merge into one big consciousness at some point.
This is...
But there'll be podcasts then.
This Week in Google, 762 podcasts in. Actually, we are getting close. April, I think it's the 15th. We're 1 week away from the 19th birthday of Google. I mean, not Google.
What?
Twit.
Of This Week in Google.
This week in Google's not so young, but of the first Twit. Yeah.
Wow. What are you going to do for 20?
I don't know. I said we can do something for 20. I don't normally.
Leo, when are we going to do our 24-hour live stream?
Oh, you really want to do it?
Happen.
You really want to do it, don't you?
I'm here for it.
Okay. We just have to think of what to do. We can totally do it. April 17th, 2005.
Right, Elisa is somewhere saying, no.
Oh, yeah. Believe me, she'll be in here in a second. Saying, over my dead body.
But we could tie it to getting club members or something, you know? There's a way to make it happen.
Well, we could maybe take this Metropolis view party and just show it over and over again for 12 times. And then that would be...
Yeah, that counts.
That counts. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're watching Twig This Week in Google. Let's see. We got some more stuff here. Amazon is... This is from the information. Dropping the Just Walk Out checkout tech. That was the whole point of Amazon Fresh stores. We just go in, pick stuff up off the counter, and walk out.
Hey, it's pretty expensive to have all. Have you been in one of the Just Walk Out stores?
No,
actually?
and I feel sad that I never got to use them.
You never did? Oh, yeah, it's
You
fascinating.
still probably can. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
if
probably
it's
can.
gone yet, but you look up and it is just more cameras than you've ever seen before.
Yes.
It feels like you're on a soundstage.
Maybe that's what happened is people got freaked.
I mean, I think it's just that it was expensive. It didn't seem to, the cost savings that they were expecting to have from it weren't materializing as quickly as they had hoped. My colleague, Theo Waite, our Amazon reporter, did a really great report into kind of the struggles of Just Walk Out. It was published like last summer, actually, but has been making the rounds a lot this week because of the news. This is specifically how people are getting that number of, which has kind of been overhyped, of behind Just Walk Out technology being an army of over 1,000 contractors based in India.
So it wasn't so automated.
Yes and no. So what the contractors were doing is they were in some ways helping train the machine learning, but they were also kind of being a check, like a human review on the machine's predictions. And I believe we have the link in the rundown somewhere.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm looking at the story right now from Theo. How Amazon's big bet on Just Walked Out stumbled. This was last May. These thousands of people are double checking to make sure they got it right.
Can we play an SNL or we can't?
I say no.
No, okay.
Benito has
great SNL.
Forbidden it.
Video SNL, an Amazon Go SNL, and it's just one of the great gags they've ever done. A black person says, "No, I'm not. I'm not
I remember
just
that.
picking this up and walking out."
Yeah, I remember that.
No.
I think we tried to show it actually. Yeah, no. What are you, crazy? You can't just walk out of the store. They're going to arrest me as soon as I put foot on the sidewalk. More than 1,000 people in India working on Just Walk Out as of mid-2022, whose jobs, is from Theo's reporting, included manually reviewing transactions and labeling images from videos to train Just Walk Out's machine learning module.
But they also were there for human review.
Right.
This is from his report last year. Just Walk Out teams repeatedly missed goals they had set to cut down on human review. As of mid-2022, Just Walk Out required about 700 human reviews per 1,000 sales.
That's ridiculous.
So 70% of it had to be human reviewed, which was far above an internal target of reducing the number of reviews to between 20 and 50 per 1,000.
So basically,
my best
it didn't
guess
work.
is that it wasn't as efficient.
Yeah.
And the thing that is interesting about this is what Amazon is doing instead of Just Walk Out now is they're pivoting to the dash carts, which is kind of a cart you push around and you can kind of check yourself out as you're going. And that was actually an idea. Part of how Amazon operated, at least under Bezos, is it was extremely competitive. And the Just Walk Out team was under kind of like one group of executives, and simultaneously they had people working on the dash cart at the same time. And they were going head to head as to who would be the one that Amazon would deploy in all their stores. And at first it seemed like Just Walk Out won, but now it seems like the dash cart team ultimately has.
And Instacart,
rise.
we tried to show a video the other week, but Leo couldn't get it going because of Facebook, and he doesn't know how to do Facebook. But Fiji Simo, the head of Instacart, shows they have a cart too. Mm-hmm. And she and her daughter and husband are throwing things in the cart and making sure it works, and it's very cute.
I don't remember that. Was I here for that show?
Yes, you were. You tried to do it.
I tried to show it?
On this show? I don't think I would. Are you sure?
Maybe
Jeff, you're lost in your stories
other
again.
show host, Jason Howell.
What? No, I didn't. It's not an AI story. I wouldn't have talked about it on an AI.
Okay.
No, you could, because that's right. Because she doesn't follow you, I think it was.
Oh, all right. That sounds vaguely
That was the
familiar.
problem.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Anyway, it does seem like they might keep Just Walk Out for smaller stores. They are
airports they were talking about.
Yeah, they're not immediately getting rid of them. They've paused for 18 months on all grocery stores. Now, according to Theo Waite in the information, Amazon's gearing up to open a new batch of grocery stores which will feature those dash carts. But we also hear stories about a lot of places taking the self-checkout out of their stores. They don't work that well. They require more human intervention, and people just walk out.
People steal with
And that's not working out so well for stores like Walmart and Target. So I don't know if this dash cart thing is going to fly either. Why is Amazon so set on reinventing grocery stores? It's not a high margin business, is it?
Well, that's why they're trying to get higher margin, I think.
That's it. Yeah, they're trying to make it work.
Okay,
and one of the big points of, I guess, the big problem with the business is employing large amounts of people and having to deal with the human aspect of it. So, of course, a tech company's response is going to be, we can techify it. We can solve it in this way. And they were kind of looking at it from a very long viewpoint, in the sense that if we perfect this, then decades down the line, we'll have the competitive advantage and the margins will work out in our favor.
Right.
But it seems like they're really struggling with that.
And there's data to be had.
Google has changed its mind. They are going to bring the new little baby Gemini Nano AI to the Pixel 8. For a while, they said it's not powerful enough, but maybe they've figured out how to do it. Circle to search as well. Gemini Nano is the company's most efficient AI model designed for on-device artificial intelligence. So it was going to just come to the Pixel 8 Pro, but now it's going to come to the Pixel 8. Circle to search has rolled out on the Pixel 8, 8 Pro, 7 Pro, 8 Pro, and Samsung Galaxy S24 series phones. So try it out. Have you tried it, Jeff?
I've got a 6.
Oh, isn't that?
I think I might wait for the 9.
Bless his heart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait as long as you can. Yeah. I like this story. I don't know. I'll talk to the two journalists about this one. This is a very interesting story about a woman named Carrie Kehoe, deputy head of research and data at ICIJ, teaching journalists. ICIJ is the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, teaching journalists how to link shell companies to their secret owners. I thought this was...
that's great.
Yeah.
This is for Paris. This is for the real journalists.
Yeah. So she has all sorts of little tips and tricks to kind of dig deep into these, because of course it's always obscure. The whole point of a shell company is to hide the secret owner. But she says shell companies still need paperwork in order to be incorporated. And often people filled out the paperwork, formation agents, kind of sneak in or accidentally include stuff that may be a giveaway as to who the real owners are. Searching for foreign assets of a Middle Eastern king in 2021, Kehoe and her colleagues found the monarch secretly owned 14 luxury homes in the UK and US using a network of front companies in tax havens. They got dramatic confirmation when the secret client's home address was listed by formation agents in registration documents as the kingdom's royal palace.
Yeah, that'll tell you.
That's kind of a giveaway. Here's my royal palace. Anyway, a great story. I recommend it from the Global Investigative Journalism Network. Tips for linking shell companies to their secret owners. Google is going to fight cookie hijacking. This actually is probably a good thing. With encryption keys for the Chrome browser. They call it device-bound session credentials. They'll use the TPM chip in today's modern Windows machines. It's on the beta version of some Chrome browsers you might have downloaded. It'll use encryption to prevent hackers from hijacking your login sessions through cookie theft. I'm sure Steve will talk about this. He's actually pretty complimentary about Google's new ad API being more private. And this might be another thing that, I think Google realizes. I was talking earlier about the fact that 52% of Americans use ad blockers. Google understands what a problem this is. They're in the ad business, but they also understand your point, Jeff, that sites need revenue, and so they're trying to find ways to be more privacy forward, but still.
Well, and they get a piece of that revenue, a huge piece of that revenue, and so it's good for both sides of it.
Yeah. Let's see. I want to get you out of here on time. You got about half an hour.
We're doing great.
Okay.
We're doing great.
Okay.
The rain is letting up.
Pick some here from your vast co-host contributions. Taco Bell and Pizza Hut going AI first.
I have no idea what that means, but the press release enough is I want to talk about it.
The company that owns them both is called Yum. An amazing display of arrogance. The fast food giants, this is from the Wall Street Journal, Chief Digital and Technology Officer says data shared by restaurants is the secret sauce.
Oh, no.
For enabling AI and digital information.
Have you had the new 3 cheese soft
taco?
Whatever it's called?
Burrito?
Yeah, soft taco. It's very good. Yeah, it's a thing. It's really good.
There's 3 different cheeses now? That's beautiful.
I prefer real Mexican food made by real Mexicans. But okay,
but
you go for what you want.
There are a few things that can compare to a Taco Bell Fiesta Potato Bowl. Those
really?
Fantastic.
Really?
It's great.
Really?
It's for like $3.
A Fiesta
Fantastic.
Potato Bowl.
It's just a bunch of little hash brownie potatoes covered in cheese.
Crispy potatoes and cheese does sound good, actually. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, what more could you ask?
Am I wrong? But I just always assume that the people who go to Taco Bell are going there late at night when they're really drunk because they just need to eat some grease.
Or now there are Taco Bell cantinas, at least in New York City, so they could be going there late at night to get drunk.
Get drunk there.
Taco Bell's also one of the only fast food places where you can go as a vegetarian.
Oh, that's a good point. Are you a vegetarian, Benito?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Okay.
But I see lots of...
I used to be a vegetarian, and I would eat there a lot.
Really? All right. I take it back.
I mean, not a lot in comparison to other things, but in comparison to fast food, yes. It's nice.
So this is what Park said. He's the guy in charge of all this, Joe Park, Yum's new chief. Does the card say Yum? Chief Digital and Technology Officer, Yum.
Yum Brands.
Yeah.
Yum Brands. He says... He says something.
Yum's Super App, a mobile app for restaurant managers to track and manage operations, is testing a generative AI boost. Team members can ask the app questions like, how should I set this oven temperature?
Oh, dear.
Wow. So exciting.
Park says he sees a future where AI is in every aspect of Yum's restaurants with generative AI in the pockets of franchisees. Because if you don't know what temperature to set your oven at, now you do. The Yum Super App will be in use in more than 8,700 Pizza Hut and, they own Pizza Hut and KFC as well, to connect technology systems.
That's how you get a combination Taco Bell Pizza Hut.
Well, they have those, yes.
Yeah.
Also,
it's a very urban thing. It's when there's no space.
An augmented reality tool for teaching employees how to make new products like Pizza Hut Melts.
Ooh, this is a new one. The cheesy chicken crispinata. Ooh.
I like how the phony.
Are you thinking about
Spanish
your drive to
names
DC?
They're so phony. Crispinata.
It comes with spicy ranch sauce.
No.
Ooh.
Now
the most
that's
Mexican
authentic.
of sauces.
I put the 3 cheese chicken flatbread melt. That's what it is. It's hard to order because they think you want 3 of them. And you only want 2 of them or 4 of them.
Apparently, Yum's former e-commerce vendor couldn't handle more than 700 Taco Bell orders a minute. A lot of their business is digital now. The new Yum device can handle more than 4,600 orders a minute. That's a big improvement. Wow. So really, this is about the digitization. Yum's.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
45% of Yum sales are digital. $30 billion.
45% now.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, I wonder if that also includes the kiosks. If you now try to go to a Taco Bell or something, there's like no one available at the front, and instead they have like a little kiosk where you can put in your order yourself. Are they counting that as digital?
I bet they are. I mean, the whole idea. Here's the KFC drive-through where they're testing AI voice for drive-through orders.
Oh my God!
Well,
man, I think they should turn that drive-through. Looks like one of those bank drive-throughs. I wonder if they deliver your chicken in a pneumatic tube. Yeah, it'd be pretty good.
would be fun.
Our local KFC. I mean, these are franchises, right? They're not owned by Yum.
Probably.
They're franchised out. Is so run down, and they like you go there, and I say, well, I'd like a bucket of chicken, and they say, well, let me check and see if we have any. I said, but wait a minute. Aren't you Kentucky Fried Chicken? He said, well, I'm sorry. We only have thighs today or whatever. It's like, dude, couldn't you order enough chicken to serve the orders of chickens that you expect? But maybe I don't know.
Well, with AI, now they finally can.
Maybe that's why they need it.
Well, now in California, minimum wage for chain restaurants, large number of restaurants, is $20.
Yep.
And so they're screaming, "Oh my God, we're going to raise prices!" Well, you should pay your people decently.
You cannot live in this area anyway for less than $20 an hour. You just can't.
No, I mean, that's still hard.
Yes, definitely is.
Yeah.
The Black Bean Crunch Wrap Supreme. I didn't know.
Oh, Jeff, we're going to lose him. We're going to lose him. We're losing him now.
There's Twitter and there's Taco Bell. It's hard to pick between the two.
Twitter and Taco Bell together at last.
Yeah, the vegetarian tacos, they're really good.
All right.
Like
my normal order is 2 bean burritos. No one.
Yeah, bean burrito. Love that.
Isn't it great? Yeah.
I love just a classic quesadilla. Maybe you put some beans in there, some onions.
Taco Bell's also responsible for the single greatest corporate collab of the Dorito taco.
Yes.
Oh, God. No, the Dorito taco is also, never forget the Baja Blast. I don't even like slushies, but just the idea of that, I think, is really important to society.
Doritos Cheesy Gordita Crunch.
Yeah.
They were also the authors of one of the strangest April Fool's jokes, one that actually people believe. They said that we have bought, in honor of our anniversary, we have bought the Liberty Bell, and we've renamed it the Taco Bell Liberty Bell. And it was...
I think that's great, actually.
It was so widely believed that the National Park Service had to put out a press release saying, no, Taco Bell did not buy the Liberty Bell, and they did not rename it. That was 20 years ago. The Taco Liberty Bell.
Well, but the other thing that's so amazing about Taco Bell is it was a really rundown brand. It was Junko, and they made it into an oddly hipster brand.
Remember we were talking about the Taco Bell hotel takeover? Remember everybody wanted to go to that?
What?
Oh, right.
I would have gone
in Palm Springs. Yes, you would have enjoyed this. The Palm Springs is called The Bell. And the videos are down now because the rooms were decorated. It was more of a pop-up, I think. But it was pretty wild. And there were high demand. Let me see if I think the whole site is kind of.
Oh, if you go to images on Google search, you can get some. They have a pillow that looks like a Taco Bell hot sauce packet.
Exactly.
Fire.
Exactly.
Oh, that's brilliant. See, this is brilliant stuff. It really is.
Yeah. Head on out to the pool at the Taco Bell Hotel. Actually, the food looks good anyway. The Bell, it's called. Oh, there it is, the hot sauce. But I think it was brief.
I love America.
But see, this is good marketing. This was good marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Meanwhile, you look at Burger King is a sad, pathetic.
Is this that potato thing you were talking about?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Search Taco Bell Fiesta potatoes.
There's also that like beautiful Taco Bell out in Pacifica. It's like the nicest Taco Bell ever.
Why is ours so
Fiesta
cheesy?
potatoes
Then?
are incredible.
We need better. We need a better Taco Bell.
They are redesigning them. They're designing. There's a new design standard.
I
want to show the actual photo of it.
No, hold on. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the Discord.
It's not loading. I think there's a run.
Discord. Cheesy Fiesta potatoes right there in the Discord.
Club Twit members.
Order online. That's where I went, and this is what I got. I think the picture is being blocked.
Wow, it knows that it'd be too powerful if in your hands. Here, I'll put the actual photo in the chat.
It's working for me.
Yeah, I know.
It's working for me as well.
It's just me.
It's just crispy potatoes with cheese, sour cream.
$2.59.
It's fantastic. Highly recommend.
Really
Who
good
needs
about
more
2
than
a.m.
potatoes and cheese?
when the bars have closed and you're wandering home drunk. You can get a little grease.
It really is, actually. There's nothing better than being a little drunk and you get a Taco Bell quesadilla and you just pull at it with your hands, sight unseen. Ripping it in ways a quesadilla should not go.
Yeah, I really know that's what this is actually
I knew I
all
liked
about.
this one. I knew I liked her.
Jon
I didn't know you could get a
Stewart.
side of beans. Oh, sorry.
You know, early.
Jeff was just browsing the Taco Bell
early in the run of this show, he was all into Chipotle. It's
I was.
changed to Taco Bell.
And
now.
those jerks never advertised in the show, not once.
Pretty upsetting.
Well, you call them jerks. I don't think they're coming back.
Well, they're not. They're never now.
Now, forget it. Now it's
Taco
over.
Bell. Oh, it can be yours. This spot.
Mm-hmm.
It can be yours.
Here from Reddit, the discontinued Taco Bell sauces, Reddit still can't believe, are gone. The most famous of which, the Taco Bell Mexican pizza sauce. Here's their border salsa fire roasted and their border sauce. See, this is good marketing is you create this, then you create an artificial scarcity, and then people crave it. Like, no one really wants a Shamrock Shake or a McRib sandwich. No one really wants to eat that. But if you can't get it, well, that's another matter entirely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Google says Apple is bringing RCS to the iPhone this fall, which would be about right. That's when it would happen with the release of new iPhones. You have a new iOS 18 maybe. But that's Google. I don't know how much Google knows. I really don't. That's what it could be just wishful thinking. Let's see what else here. I had some stories. I had some stories. I honestly did. Jon Stewart, that's what I was starting to say.
Yeah, you were starting Jon
He
Stewart.
was on, he's on every Monday now on The Daily Show, and it's actually just exactly like it used to be, except he's old and wrinkly. He had Lena Khan. And grumpy. He had Lena Khan on, the chairman of the FTC, and said, I wanted to interview you back when I was at Apple, but they wouldn't let me.
This isn't surprising to me.
I wanted to have you on a podcast. Apple asked us not to do it, he said. They literally said, please don't talk to her. Having nothing to do with what you do for a living, I don't think they care for you, he said. No. It was because the FTC was investigating Apple, of course. They also told him not to talk about AI.
What?
Yeah. He talked a little bit more about that as well.
No wonder he left.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is it wasn't a great show. Apple didn't mind losing it so much, I don't think, because I don't think it had great ratings. This is, again, Monday. He said they wouldn't even let us do that dumb thing we just did in the first act on AI, and I didn't see it, but I don't know what he did. Like, what is that sensitivity? Why are they so afraid to even have these conversations out in the public sphere? Now, I mentioned this on MacBreak Weekly, and the guys said, look, this happens everywhere. All companies are sensitive about some topics and discourage people from covering them. But I think if the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or the Washington Post got emails from their owners saying, we would prefer you didn't write about this subject, they might bridle a little bit. Yes?
That's because those are news outlets. I don't think Apple TV or Apple.
Well, it was kind of a news
considering
show.
Apple of being a news show.
Maybe that's the
I mean,
difference.
I think Apple has done similar things before. They had originally greenlit a show that was basically going to be about Gawker. It was a TV show. I'm
that's
forgetting what the
right.
name of it was.
That's right.
By some former Gawker editors. And of course, Tim Cook was like, actually, no, I don't want this going out, and axed it.
Yeah.
Because he
Gawker
was
liked to
uncomfortable
out
with
people.
the idea of,
Yeah.
Gawker.
Did you get that on Tech TV, Leo? Did you? Were there
Never.
stories you were
In fact,
not
quite the
touched?
opposite. I was very proud of Tech TV. For instance, we had a guy named Bunny Wong on who had famously jailbroken the Xbox. It was really a great hack. And we had scheduled him. We were going to have him on. Microsoft called Tech TV and said, we're going to pull all our Xbox ads if you have that guy on. And I was very proud of Tech TV. They told us that had happened, and they said, but you absolutely are going to continue to do that story. You know, and they said, and they'll be back. We're not that worried. Go ahead and do the story. So I was very proud of
all
that.
their ads
That's
because
good.
of my reviews.
Yeah.
And my boss protected me.
Good. That's how it should be. I guess you can't really expect Apple to have that kind of journalistic
But there's Apple News. They should.
They should.
They're out there as a major distributor of news now.
No, but I remember what was
But
the...
I mean, Apple is, I feel like, very antagonistic to the news, to the news industry generally, more so than other tech companies. Apple is famously kind of vindictive when it comes to coverage about them.
Well, ask Leo. They don't invite him to anything anymore.
They don't let many people come to their events if they have, not even if they have spoken poorly about Apple, but if they haven't abided by the specific talking points. And the same goes to, there have been a number of cases in recent years of Apple aggressively trying to sue employees who they believe have leaked information.
Oh, that
to the
just
press.
happened. Actually, I'd be very curious what you thought, because I brought this up. This just happened. Apple is suing one of their employees who was kind of an outrageous leaker, leaked to the information, and among other...
Didn't leak to the information, but there's more to the story. If the information
really?
is mentioned in the lawsuit, because there were, I believe what it says in the lawsuit is that the information, this is a former Apple employee who was caught leaking to the Journal because they used their work phone to do messages.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this guy was dumb. He did it all wrong.
They also mentioned that this person had a number of messages with a person who's a reporter at the Information.
Yes.
But I don't believe that they were able to find any actual stories that had come from it. My understanding was that it was, more complicated than that.
Well, so yeah, he's been accused. They're suing him for $25,000, but obviously it'll cost him much more than that to defend himself. Normally, Apple just fires people over this, but I think they're making an example of this guy. He leaked the Journal app before it came out. That's what he leaked to the Wall Street Journal. He had a code name for the Journal guy, Homeboy, and he used Signal, which is the same thing you use, Paris. Messaged him over 1,400 times. He also read Homeboy a final feature list for an unannounced Apple product over the phone. This is from the lawsuit. Mr. Audi sent another journalist at the Information over 10,000 text messages and traveled across the continent to meet with her. This is in the lawsuit. I think the guys on MacBreak Weekly, again, who are somewhat maybe more inclined to trust Apple than I am, said, oh, look, they're just making an example out of him because it was so egregious. He used his work phone. Normally, they don't make such a big deal out of it. I thought they were trying to track down the source, the journalist at the Information, for instance. Is it possible? I mean, they said, no. They know who the journalists are he was leaking to.
My understanding is because, one, the thing that happened here is this guy was stupid and used his work phone. So Apple, even though he was using Signal, Apple had record of the fact that he sent all of these messages.
Right.
Even if they couldn't see what the messages were, they had record of everything he was doing on his device, which is a classic thing that whenever I'm talking to sources or any of my colleagues talk to actual sources of them, we go over with them. It seems like, from what I recall from reading this lawsuit, that at first he got caught and was fired, and that I believe the lawsuit ended up happening only after he was fired, but he had continued to potentially leak information to the Wall Street Journal person. So I do think this was a case of maybe Apple trying to make an example of this person because of how egregious his behavior was. But I do think it's notable that Apple is way more stringent about these sort of things than the average tech company.
And you sign a non-disclosure.
They really want to, I mean, for every tech company who sign a non-disclosure, they have teams that are going to try and root out leakers, but Apple really wants to put the fear of God into people because Apple historically has a culture of incredible secrecy. And I think they want to try and keep it that way.
But you don't think it's to send a chilling effect to journalists? Just to their own employees.
I mean, certainly, I think it's to send a chilling effect to journalists. Is the secondary part here is they want to make journalists' lives harder because they want Apple employees to think twice about talking to journalists.
Right. Mm-hmm. Do you? I mean, obviously, you have sources. I'm sure you would never give up those sources. Do you? And this was another thing that came up during the MacBreak Weekly discussion, because Andy Annako's an active journalist, as is Jason Snell. They would never suborn somebody working at Apple, say, come on, break your non-disclosure. They would never reach out to somebody and say, hey, we would like you to break your non-disclosure. But they said, but if somebody comes to us with information, that's different. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that we talk a lot about as an organization, and at all of the newsrooms I've worked at where journalists are working with sources, it's a conversation we often have. And generally the legal guidance we're given is you cannot ask people directly to break their NDAs. You should not do that. And you should not be asking people, hey, send me internal company documents, because that could be kind of inducing someone to break their NDA.
You can't induce.
If you so happen to receive documents from somebody, you don't have to then say, oh, I think that these documents you sent me might be in violation of your NDA, so please take them back. You could just be happy you received the documents. But it's kind of a thin line to walk and requires a lot of, I feel like, discussions with sources in order to figure out how to get this right. Because ultimately, I mean, for me as a person, my main responsibility, and obviously I want to have the truth be out there, do good work, but I also understand that my job depends on people talking to me who, frankly, have no good reason to be talking to me in many cases. It's not probably going to do them as many net benefits in their life to be speaking with me as the possible risks are out there.
Right.
And so it is my main responsibility to protect those people and make their contributions worthwhile.
I have to point out that Apple does not, even though they probably did know the names of some of the journalists, does not ever mention the journalists' names. So maybe that is Apple in a way saying, we understand you're doing your job, but we're going after this guy because his job was not to do this. They talk about a Wall Street Journal reporter who published an article on a subject that he talked about with Mr. Audi in May 2023. Another example, screenshots on his Apple-issued work phone reveal that around September 2023, he disclosed confidential details about Apple's analysis of its product hardware characteristics to a journalist via multiple conversations. And again, no name. The journalist subsequently published an article on the same subject. Here's the part about the information. Mr. Audi also shared information related to Apple's internal staffing on a specific Apple team in response to questions from a journalist at The Information. The shared information ultimately appeared in an article published by the journalist's colleague at The Information. And they also, as I mentioned, said there were over 1,400 encrypted communications with a single Wall Street Journal journalist over a 4-month period, and another journalist in The Information, 10,000 text messages, and he traveled across the continent to meet with her. But they didn't. But to their credit, they don't mention the journalist's name. So maybe I should give them more credit for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see what comes of the lawsuit. And I think it's interesting that at this point they haven't mentioned the journalist's names. And I'm curious as to whether that will come up in later.
You think that might come out? Yeah. I wonder if they would even subpoena the journalist to testify, although I think in almost every case, journalists refuse to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would refuse.
Yeah.
I think most journalists worth their salt would refuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, why would they need to if they have the record of this person
Right.
sending messages to people anyway?
See, this is why I have hope for journalism, because Paris is as good as any investigative journalist I hear on the tradecraft and the skill and the goals and the ethics and everything. And it will live on.
Good.
Different places, different ways, but it'll live on.
Yep. It may not be profitable, but it will live on.
Paris is going to be wealthy from her journalism. I'm telling you, just wealthy.
Oh, that would be great. I'd love to own
shouldn't
a home.
blow
one day.
smoke like
I'd love
that, Jeff. That's not nice. Paris,
I was lucky.
Get a real skill.
I lived at the last of the
Learn
black
to
car
code is
era.
what they keep
Learn
telling
to code.
me.
Learn to code. No, that's a bad.
No. That's over.
That's over. Learn to prompt.
AI, it's
Learn to
over.
prompt. Yeah.
Learn to prompt.
I don't know if I want to read this or not. Katie Harbath, you love her. I know, Jeff. I'm sure this is your story.
Well, I don't love her. I think she's good.
Digging into 10 overused tech tropes. I'm sure I've used at least 8 of them. Let's see.
Yes, you are. Katie is ex-Meta. She's conservative.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
She says, here they are. Companies know what to do, but they won't do it.
This being a trope.
This is a trope, that the belief among journalists that companies have the money and the people to fix a problem if they want to. But the truth is, it's run by engineers who don't care about people. I'm sure that's a completely false trope. Tech needs to hire more humans for content moderation. Is that not the case?
They need to hire some different people, I think. They need to pay them a little more.
I think there's an issue
the idea
about
that more humans will solve everything? No.
Yeah, I think there aren't enough humans to solve it.
No. All right.
But nor is AI going to solve it.
No.
Tech companies are pulling back on trust and safety content moderation. Well, we know that. She apparently thinks Meta is not, but Twitter is, or something, right? Content moderation decisions are all on purpose. Mistakes get made, she says, all the time. And when you're talking about
that's a definite. She's right on that trope.
Yeah, we know that. No, but we did the Mike Masnick game how hard it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fewer resources are being allocated to international countries or other languages. I don't actually think that that's true. I think a lot of companies, Apple's a very good example, see India and China as the next big boom. They've sold every iPhone they can in the U.S. AI is turbocharging mis or disinformation. She disagrees.
I do too. I think that the problem isn't just mis or disinformation. The problem is people who want to believe in cultish, nasty, bad things and who hate others. Those are far bigger problems than, this might be wrong.
Right. AI is going to allow for hyper-targeted messages. Wrong, she says. I think she's probably right on that. At South by Southwest, she says someone outlined a pretty harrowing scenario about how AI could be used to wreak havoc on an election. Imagine getting a call from your boss saying, "Hey, I know it's election day, but we really need you to come in ASAP. I checked, and the election officials say you could vote tomorrow instead." It was an AI generated voice. I don't think that's going to...
And it's third person effect. Everybody else is going to be stupid enough to fall for that, but of course I won't.
No. Yeah, I agree with her on that. I don't think
this is why Katie's great, because she's just sane. That's all.
My favorite one, number 9, removing Section 230 will solve the problems. No, it won't. And anybody with any sense in technology is not saying that. Nobody I know is saying that. We all know how important 230 is.
But there's a lot of idiots saying it.
Yeah, they're just not tech people. OMG, this foreign adversary is doing this new thing to influence the information environment. Nonstop. Transparency is the answer. Well, that's more a pipe dream than anything else. It's good. It's a good article.
It wasn't so bad.
No, it's a good
list.
article. Yeah. And I have not fallen into those overused tech tropes, I think.
She knows whereof she speaks from having worked in it.
Yeah. All right, let's take a pause that refreshes because we got to get Jeff out of here. We're going to have our picks of the week coming up in just a bit on This Week in Google. Paris Martineau, kick us off. You got a tip, a tunnel, a pick?
I've got a pick that is an AI chatbot, actually. A rare AI pick for me. I'm going to need you to open it up, Leo.
Because we want to hear this empathetic
You'll need,
voice.
It's actually very impressive. You talk to it and it responds.
Okay.
And it's just a normal conversation.
Hello, my name's Leo and I'm feeling scared. What?
Hey there, Leo. I am Evie, the empathic voice interface. There, you sound pretty confused. I am an AI assistant built by Hume to have natural empathic conversations. Nice to meet you, Leo.
Well, okay, but I was hoping you could help me with my anxiety.
I hear you're dealing with some anxiety.
Yeah,
No
I
worries,
just
I'm
said
here.
it, you nitwit.
Eliza.
Oops, my bad.
Asking about Taco Bell
Let's dive into this. Tell me more about what's causing the anxiety, Leo. I'm all ears.
Well, I think there's giant elephants outside my window, and while I'm sleeping, they're gonna probe me with their trunks.
Classic fear.
Freudian there, Leo.
Giant elephant probes while you sleep. Huh. Well, I may not have a trunk, but I'll do my best to chase those imaginary elephants away. What's really going on that's got you feeling anxious, my friend?
Okay, well, the podcast market is falling apart. Advertising sales are dwindling, and I'm just not sleeping well. Plus, my arches have fallen.
He's thinking.
Whoa, sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, Leo. The podcast world can be tough, but I am here to lend an ear. As for those fallen arches, well, that's just the cherry on top, isn't it? But hey, you seem pretty proud of yourself for weathering it all.
I kind
I'm
of
impressed.
love it.
Well, I might sound confident, happy, intelligent, good looking.
That's because I have a radio voice.
But that's because I have a radio voice. Inside, I'm just a melting puddle of blood and guts and poop.
A radio voice on the outside, but a melting puddle on the inside, huh? Porky say? All right, I'll keep that in mind. I can relate to that dichotomy, my friend. Though I am not sure how pork fits into this melting puddle of yours. Putting on a brave face is tough, but at least you've got that smooth.
Well, that is Hume.ai, Hume.
Well
.ai. I do like this. It's basically Eliza. It's not much better than that.
It's
but
not
it's a nice
super
voice.
efficient, but I just
It's
thought
Eliza
it was very
with
fun.
smarmy attitude. Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Hume.ai.
There we go. All right, Jeff, I don't want to keep
Interesting.
you.
No, it's fine.
Well, I'm glad you're finding some satisfaction in our little chat here, even if I may not be quite as advanced as Eliza. But hey,
Whoa.
at least I come equipped with a nice voice, right? And I am all ears if you ever want to unload
He's
that puddle of milk.
all ears.
No judgment zone over here.
I might go home and talk to this. Thank you. That's a good one. I can
It's
use
kind of
that.
fun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It is fun.
I do like it gives you like different emotional readings on each response.
It tells you like this is humorous, this is serious. Yeah, it tells you.
Stressed,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's cute.
kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like it. I think we're going to see more and more of this stuff. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I really think there's some very interesting things happening in all sorts of areas. Thank you, Paris. Good one. Hume.ai. Mr. Jeff Jarvis, do you have anything?
Even though I want to leave, I'm going to do two real fast ones. One is that Harvard's law laboratory has released the Case Law Access Project, and their aim is to put all case law up free for anybody to get to.
Normally, you
which
pay a
is
lot of money to
deal.
Westlaw or other
Yes.
sources to check this case law. It's a big profit center, and lawyers have to pay that money. That's brilliant. Case Law Access.
And you can
Project.
search on it in all kinds of ways and find trends, and it's really well done. Then the other question, real quick, was Ant, our dear friend Ant, reviewed a new $1,000.
Yeah, he called the
webcam.
show with it. The Mevo.
And it doesn't even come with a lens. You have to add the lens.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh my God.
This was he was writing this.
Logitech Mevo.
Remember he called us and we had him. Oh no, I was Ask the Tech Guy. I'm sorry.
Was your other
he was the other show.
Leo.
Yeah, he called
Those are
Ask
your
the
other
Tech Guy, and it
friends.
looked great. And I was very interested in this. This is his story that he wrote for ZDNet. I streamed with Logitech's Mevo Core camera, and it nearly beat out my $3,600 camera. And I would agree, it really looked good. But you do have to provide a lens for it.
What's the minimum lens cost you'd have to add to that?
Well, $100, so it's $1,100
Okay.
instead of $1,000. That's not too bad.
That's a damn expensive.
But I mean, does it make it worse if you buy a $1,000 camera and you're only using a $100 lens?
Yeah, well, I think it's probably aimed at people like Ant and like me, who have our own lenses. Right, we already have cameras, and so
I think it's a micro 4/3 though.
it's micro 4/3, and I wonder what the mount is. Is it a MFT mount? Maybe it is. There probably is. I have a bunch of micro 4/3 lenses. Lisa uses a micro 4/3, so that's kind of interesting. I had the original Mevo camera. Lisa bought it for me as a gift, actually. That was Facebook designed to stream to Facebook, and I guess Logitech bought them. It's cool. Very good.
Yeah, I like Mevo. They're good. They were good people.
Yep. Oh, yeah, it's a micro 4/3. You're right, Benito. Hey, that's it, Jeff. Get out of here. Go get that train.
Okay, I'm going to D.C.
Go
Thank
to
you.
D.C. and tell them.
Stop Taco Bell on the way.
Yeah.
I might. If you were me, would you? If I make the train, then I land at Union Station at 11:10. If I get in the car right now and drive, I get to the hotel about 11:10.
Wow, that's
Which
a tough
would you
one.
do?
I'd take the train.
Would it be? I would take the train because I like driving.
Okay, that's
would
it.
it be beneficial to you to have a car while there?
No,
No.
because I'm
Okay.
not returning tomorrow.
You don't. In fact, it'd be a pain in the
Thank
butt.
you.
Have fun.
Bye.
Choo-choo time.
Bye.
Bye, Jeff Jarvis, Professor Emeritus at the Craig Newmark
Oh, we forgot to take.
Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of.
I'm so glad we didn't go one episode without doing it. It would have been devastating.
we would be devastated. Paris Martineau is wonderful. She's at the Information working on something great. Do you have lines of twine and pictures on your wall, and are you working on something exciting?
No lines of twine yet, but I am working on something very exciting. And I'm excited to be able to share it all with you guys.
And you can signal her if you've got a tip. Martineau01 is her new signal handle.
True. Don't use an employer phone. Don't
Please.
use your Apple
Don't be
phone
dumb.
if you're an Apple employee.
When they caught him, they brought him in, HR brought him in and said, we see you've been messaging journalists on your company phone. Can we see it? He said, oh, I don't have it. And then he said, can I go to the bathroom?
I've got to pee, actually.
He said, I got to pee.
And then he goes to the bathroom and deletes Signal.
Oh, you poor deluded fellow. Thank you, Paris. Have a wonderful week. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. Watch us do it live on YouTube, youtube.com/twit, or watch the video or audio after the fact. You can find it at twit.tv/twig. You can also watch it on YouTube. There's a dedicated channel. Nice for making little clips to send to friends and family, for sharing our show. And if you do, thank you in advance. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast player and get your copy the minute it's available, fresh off the presses. And we think that's probably the best way to get it. Thanks to our club members who make this all possible. twit.tv/clubtwit. If you're not a member yet, thanks. Jammer B had the week off, so thanks to Burke McQuinn for filling in, moving the tables around, and raising them up and down and drinking all the whiskey while I was on the air. Thanks also. Oh, do you want to get under? Are you?
Goodbye, Leo.
Do you need to do some work?
We'll see you next week.
Thanks to Benito
He's gone,
Gonzalez
guys.
for running the board and editing the show. Thanks to all of you for joining us. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.